Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back in to JRL Golf Academy. I have the awesome pleasure of interviewing none other than Lance Gill of Lance Gill Performance. Lance is a wealth of knowledge if you want to know everything about the body and how it translates into the golf swing. So with this one interview, I think you're going to find a lot of useful information in terms of developing players from a young age and where their speed windows are. So thanks again for tuning in to JRL Golf Academy.
Lance Gill here. Lance, give people an idea of what you do.
Well, my job is quite easy. I help coaches like yourself understand whether or not the student has any physical limitations that are going to prevent you from getting where you want to go with the golfer, be it more distance, more consistency, less pain, less injury, playing for longer. So it's up to you and the golfer where you're heading, and I'm just here to build a better engine, if I was using a NASCAR analogy.
He builds big engines, folks.
Try to.
And I know one of my students, before I ever knew you, one of my students when you were still at, are you still with TPI, or how does that work out?
I work
or
with
Lance.
TPI. I'm still their performance director. I teach for them on the road, and I'm running my own business right now, Lance Gill Performance, but I still contract back to Titleist and TPI.
Okay. His business is as classy as they get. And I told you that note that I left you last night about in Vegas, and that was very impactful on me. I'm not going to share that with people here, but that was very impactful, Lance. I wanted you to know that. So in terms of, we all get caught up in mechanics and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm a swing geek, mechanic, whatever. You come in a very specialized way to me. Like if I can't get somebody to do something, a lot of times it's a physical thing, right?
Well, it can be a physical thing. For a long time, golfers haven't really put a lot of stock or merit into their body as a potential hurdle to overcome in the game of golf. And golf pros for the longest time didn't really know enough about the body to understand how it may or may not be helping achieve the goals that you want. So, when we collaborated and combined the world of medicine, fitness, and golf together, you just have a grander sense of what the golfer needs to do to get where they want to go. And yes, oftentimes it is a physical limitation that's preventing you from getting the optimal results out of your clients. So at the end of the day, my job is to help really understand fully what you're asking for the golfer, and then just identify hurdles or limitations that may be a problem to get through from your perspective. So one of the things that I would say is at that point, now you and the student have to make a decision. Do we want to fix it physically, or do we want to teach around it? I'm fine with both. I mean, physical can't fix everything, coach. But if they choose to decide yes, then we're going to go after it.
Dude, this is going to sound funny. This is from a personal perspective here. I had a player of mine, Tim De Silva, 10 years ago, and maybe 9 years ago. He came down and he went to go see you, actually. And it was, this was early on in my teaching. And I can be honest, like we made a lot of mistakes. I got the kid better. The kid got a lot better, but there were still mistakes. And you fixed something so easy with, he was an early extender. And you had told him, and you probably won't remember this, but you had told him basically he was standing too far from the ball. And the way you explained it to him, it came back to me, and I was like, son of a gun, that was a pretty easy fix. And you got him to just stand closer, right, with your expertise. That's something that I never lost that in my mind. You know what I mean? Where how sharp you really are. And I know you're too modest to take any of this stuff, but really, I was like, God dang, dude, I was trying to fix that thing so many different ways. But your expertise of knowing how the body works is something that I'm trying to explore that and trying to learn more of that myself. So,
well, that's interesting you say that. I mean, the reason we saw that, I go back to my figure skating days, and one of my mentors is Chazz Michaels. And he's one of the best figure skaters of the world. He is figure skating, in fact. But the point I'm trying to get to is when your hands are closer to your body, you can spin faster. And when the figure skaters get their hands away from their body, they rotate slower. So what the theory is if you're if you're early extending and humping the golf ball, your hands sometimes are too far away from you, thereby preventing your body from rotating. It's a simple physics. And it just goes back to, hey, trial and error. Let's try this. And it worked, and I'm glad it worked. So
No,
kudos.
and some of that stuff is like, you throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you got to kind of know also like where you can go, and that's what you do.
Correct. Yeah.
So I had Charlie Hoffman on last. Oh God, all the days are blending in now, right? But I had Charlie on. Charlie's been a great friend for a lot of years, and you've done a lot of work with Charlie. What kind of things can you kind of maybe talk about that you worked with Charlie? So,
Yeah. So Charlie actually was, before I started working with him, he was left-handed, and we converted him to right. So that proved to be a good result in his career.
Good move there, Lance. Good move.
Yeah. No. Charlie came to me a long time ago and was like, dude, will you train me? I'm like, nah, I really don't want to. And I didn't know what to say, but he kept asking me. Then one day I was at the BMW Championships in Chicago, walking through the players' parking lot randomly, just looking at all the Benzes, the Ferraris. Yeah. And out of his Maserati, Hoffman jumps out, and he's like, dude, are you going to answer me? I'm like, who are you? So
security.
Yeah, security. He goes, no, we're getting security for you, Lance. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, man, we'll work on it. And I was like, what do you want to accomplish? And really, that's the first thing I always ask anybody, whether you're the best golfer or the worst. What do you want out of working out? How can I help you is a better way to ask it. And he said, dude, I just want to play golf and I don't want to get hurt. I was like, okay, how long do you want to play golf? He goes, eternally. He doesn't have an end date. So,
yeah.
Okay, so you got 11 years till you're on the senior tour. He's like, yeah. So I want to play those 11 years successful and not get hurt. And so really, I started the process building a program just based on what he could or could not do, along with Coach and Greg Rose, who was doing a lot of his biomechanics work, just try to build patterns. And then eventually I'm on the road so much that I turned over the reins a lot to my fitness director, Kaylee Franklin, who has really been just kicking his butt for a long time. And they have a real good relationship. I'm always getting fed the information back from the physical screens and the 3D mechanics. And now Coach Mark Blackburn's joined into the fray. And so this communication between myself, Kaylee, Dr. Rose, Charlie, Mark Blackburn is really, really good, and his caddy, so that we can all be on the same page and just help move his ship in the same direction.
Let's talk about it. I got Blackburn coming on Saturday, which I'm absolutely fascinated. So I've got basically the whole Charlie Hoffman team on here. Yeah. Man, I've got some. What goes about like in a week of him playing? Like, what kind of information gets shared? Does it go from Mark? Is the start of it then to you? How does that all work out?
Well, typically before Mark was there, Greg Rose would get all the information, and if there was an emergency, he would get it. He would get the frantic text. And there wasn't a lot of them. Charlie's very low maintenance. He's super easy, super chill. If he has a question, he asks it. He likes to know his program. He does his routines, whether it's cool down, warm up, or a gym day. He does those. But now that Mark's on tour all the time, Charlie can go in and talk to Mark for a quick 1 minute, 2 minute conversation. If Mark needs information sent back to me, he sends it back. If there's a post-round issue or a pre-round issue, we'll get notified. But other than that, it's just all systems go. I have a philosophy. The reason why Charlie's there is because he's amazing at what he does. I don't need to get in the way. I stay out of the way unless I'm needed. Kaylee stays out of the way unless she's needed, and from that works out well for him. And I don't need to be in the limelight for that stuff. She doesn't either, and it's about him. And like you said, I think Mark would be the quarterback of this whole program now, and that's what makes it work, because Mark knows the direction he wants to take the whole plan. We're just there to add adjunct and help him out when needed.
Do you feel that? He said something the other day that kind of went off in my brain. He was saying that he can make changes. Mark might see something in the swing, whatever it is, and he says that he can make the changes realistically just by in the gym. Do you train a lot of stuff like that in terms of do you see that now also with, as long as you've been out there, what, I can make these changes more so in the gym than trying to get somebody perfectly aligned or whatever it is?
Yeah, one of the things we'll do in the gym, and Charlie likes this because he's a repetitive type of guy. If for instance, we're working on early extension, so he got he got into a little bit of a groove where he was early extending more than usual.
Yeah,
which
he said that. Yeah.
they ebb and flow. And so Mark started talking about foot mechanics and how to better maneuver your feet on the ground. As a result of that, it translates up to his pelvis and creates more rotation and a basically a more posterior translation of the pelvis.
Okay.
So that there's no early extension. So in the gym, we mimic what they're doing via foot mechanics, whether it's skater jumps or just slow motion drills in a mirror or against resistance, so that he can ingrain the motion up here, get a mental construct of what he's trying to do, so that when he puts a club in his hand, he's already done it 6,000 times in the gym, and it's easy for him. This guy's interesting because literally when you tell him to do something, he'll do it. So that's a good thing in an athlete. Like, he's very, very in tune with how to do it. So the negative side of that coin is you better tell him the right thing, because if you tell him the wrong thing, he'll do it. And sometimes it's hard to go back if you tell him the wrong thing.
I gotcha. Well, how do you find, is that just an instance, like he can train this in the gym, or do you find that even with the average amateur, if they need to make something better in their swing, that they can get it more in the gym than necessarily beating 1,000 balls?
You know, I honestly find the amateurs the opposite sometimes. They don't relate to the gym as well because they haven't spent years in the gym, where on the flip side, Charlie spent years hitting golf balls. The guy knows how to hit golf balls. So sometimes the easiest way to make a change is to remove yourself from that normal routine that you're in, or that normal motor program that your brain's running. The amateur tends to be a little different to me because they don't really bridge the gap between fitness and golf swing. They don't know how to get, so I have to educate them a little bit more. A lot of times with amateurs, I'll give them a little bit more of the feel on the range, and then go in the gym and reinforce it once they see the results on the range. I think it's a harder way to go about it, but you got to get buy-in at some point. And the buy-in's a little bit tougher with amateurs because they don't have as much background golf knowledge as somebody like a Charlie Hoffman has.
It's funny. I had Dan Carrera on, and he was talking about that also, and I seen it in golf instructions. Is really trying to get the student to buy in.
Yeah.
What are some of the tricks that you try to impose with that? Hopefully they're not watching, the people that you're gonna.
Fine with that. I've already seen a couple of my clients come on. Well, this is one Pam Owens, one of my mentors, taught me. She said, if you're going to get buy-in, she goes, take the hat off in the gym and get serious and put the PBR sweatband on. All right, it's a little St. Patrick's Day for everybody. So you got to relate to your client in any way, shape, or form you can. So find out, yes. Find out what motivates your clients, and that's really what it boils down to. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Why are you here? What are you here to see? Now, I know I can make you stronger, faster, bigger, but maybe that doesn't interest you. Maybe it's just about, hey, man, I just want to play golf and turn into my left hip better. That's all I care about. Okay?
Yeah.
Then we'll build the best left hip program ever for you. And that's my job.
Because when a client comes in, you give them what they want, right? Either do you want steak or chicken? What do you want? Just let me know.
Correct. Now, if they want steak and they're allergic to steak, that's when I have to talk to the coach and say, hey, coach, I know they want steak, but chicken's a much better option. So I'm going to need you to help guide them. And here's where this is going. You could tell a golfer to do something, and I could say to the same golfer, well, if you do that and work with me, you'll live 10 years longer. They're going to be like, nah, I'm going to do what Coach John says. I'm much more into that. I'm like, what? And I keep saying this, but you guys are Pied Pipers. You have all this amazing ability to control the golfer's psyche. I love it.
I'm starting to learn that myself, even after teaching this long. It's changed. Like I didn't realize that before. Like exactly what you said. It's like, they come to me. Like I see Two Box here, my buddy, one of my students. And he's always looking like, hey, dude, just tell me what I need to do. You know what I mean? He'll do whatever he said.
Yeah, and especially, I think the magic sauce is when you're a good player like you are, coming from a very, very solid background in golf. People respect that and they trust it because, at the end of the day, this is one of the hardest sport, if not the hardest sport on the planet to play. So it's daunting to amateurs. They wanna be good. They wanna look fluid and effortless, and you make it look effortless. So they look up to you for that. And I with that great responsibility comes great something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember they have something like that. At this point, folks, everybody watching, if you got a question for Lance, there's no questions for me because I have nothing that I could offer with this guy on here. But everybody, Lance, wants to gain distance, and I'm sure. What are a couple things, if you know, what are a couple things that people could do to gain distance in the gym?
Okay, Mitch, we'll get to your question in a second there. Here's the number one way to gain distance. Get out your pens and papers. Get out your Newtons if you want to, and write this down. If you want to hit the ball farther, find the center of the face.
Boom!
Yeah, it's the easiest way.
Try it.
Super try it. And here's some cool things that I haven't realized. And in working with my buddy Mark Blackburn, John Tattersall, and Dave Phillips, all these high-level golf pros that know way more than I'll ever know about the swing, here's a couple new ones that are coming in. Counter force production, or countermeasures, if you will.
Okay.
Ask Mark about this on Saturday when you talk to him. So before you start your backswing, before you start turning your body to the right,
okay,
a lot of people will enact a move to the left. So they'll do a sharp move to the left, either a forward press or that Matt Wolf where he sets his hips left. Countermeasures to help propagate the move to the right more effectively. It's kind of goes back to Newton, his laws of physics. Some guy that
equal action reaction. Yeah.
So these counter movements are very big in producing force, because when you get to the top of the swing, you're turning right, and then you're going to have to turn left. So that in itself is a countermeasure. So Mark will talk a little bit about that, and I thought it was really cool because most people think the start of the swing is turning to the right. Now I'm assuming you're a right-handed golfer. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is a little bit of pressure or move to the left can help get you going right and get more power developed. Number two, and this is another one that I've heard from guys like Blackburn, is add a little bit of tempo to your backswing. So if you speed up your tempo a little bit in the backswing, you can actually create more swing speed. Now, that in itself resonates with me because it goes back to one of the laws of muscle firing, which states that an optimal amount of stretch, if you will, if you think of a muscle as a rubber band, is not a fast stretch of the muscle, not a slow. It's a medium or moderate stretch of the muscle. And sometimes people's backswings just a little bit on the slow end. All right. It's hard to explain Matsuyama. I can't figure it out yet, but the guy still hits it far with that little pause at the top of the backswing. But those would be some things that I work on right now to help get a little bit more speed in the game of golf.
There's always an outlier, right?
Oh, 100%.
I think people, we always fall in love with those outliers. It's like, no, dude, just go in the middle there.
Correct. Hey, Mitch got a question there.
Yeah.
So what are some stock favorites for someone who doesn't know what they want? Well, this is a great question, because I sit down with a lot of people. When anyone comes to see me at the facility or we're online, it's basically, how can I help you? And they're like, well, I want to be better. I'm like, great, that's a great answer. Now we need to get more specific. So Mitch, keep asking, getting closer to the goal. Well, what would make you better? Would 10 yards make you better? No, not really, because it's out of bounds. Where does it go out of bounds? Oh, it goes out to the right. Is it a block right or is it a slice right? Well, it curves wildly to the right. So you just keep delving down and you keep asking questions until you get to the answer. But the magic sauce in that is making the client feel like they're giving you the answer. So you just keep asking probing questions until they say, yes, I need to fix my slice. All right, that's what we're going to work on. So just engage with them. Honestly, sometimes people don't like this because they can take 20, 30 minutes and they're like, well, they came here for a golf lesson. I would contend that is a better golf lesson, getting to the crux of the problem, than actually just randomly trying to fix something that may not look pretty, but may be functioning properly, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because it's making the student become accountable for the question to get better, right? It's not you just like, dude, all right, well, let's try this. If you want to work faster, you got to give the teacher, the coach, something, some info, right?
Yes, I think it's very helpful, and it's like how a doctor works. They gather information before they make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? You don't. Yes. There's two types of doctors. Greg Rose always says this. Doctor number one, you come in and say, Doc, I'm not feeling good. He reaches over and grabs a Ziploc bag and it has 3,000 pills in it, all different colors and sizes. Just reach in here and grab one.
Yeah.
All right?
You
may grab the right pill. You might grab it, but they will go through a much more thorough examination to get to the right pill.
Bro, that is such a great explanation right there. Golf Specifics asked, Lance, talk a little bit about how you're staying in contact with your clients online training.
Well, that's a great question. And we use a platform called Coach Now. Coach Now has been really, beneficial to us. And it's a very simple way where I create a client's own space, we'll call it. So it's their own personalized space where coach can be on it, I can be on it, the parents can be on it, the mental coach can be on it. So we all have this platform where we can communicate back and forth via video, audio notes, text notes, documents, whatever you want. And my clients can send me videos of their swings, send me exercises that they're doing in the gym. And I can then take that, draw lines on it like John Madden does in football, and voice note over it, giving them explanations of how they're doing it right, wrong, what I'd like to see from a coaching perspective, and then delivering all the exercise and video formats to them. So my communication strategy is quite simple. I want me and my team to be in contact with a client every 48 hours so that we know what they're doing. They're, like you said, responsible for feeding us information back so that we're getting good data from our clients and that they're engaged.
Thanks for watching, everybody, the JRL Golf Academy. Please make sure to link and comment down below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that little bell for notifications. And we look forward to seeing you on the next JRL Golf Academy.